gravitational lenses, for those of you who are, when you have huge bodies coming in close proximity in cosmology, everything changes. It's just not a 3D. It's 60. So your time and space warps. It's not linear. I was specifically very aware in my late 20s, early 30s when I was on the West Coast. I used to give all these talks across regarding Islamic scholars from the Golden Age. Right? It always boggled my mind, and I kind of talked about Jim Khalili, who's actually a theoretical physicist in University of Surrey in England, but he did this huge thing on science and Islam, BBC got a documentary, and his mother is white, British, his dad is Shia, Baghdadi. He's like a complete atheist, this guy. I mean, he's just brilliant, and he's very well renowned, but he does this phenomenal series, and he's like, even I don't have an option but to say that it was the tenets of Islam that caused that mutation in those years of golden age, the tafra, that movement that happened. And I always thought about it. And as I was giving these talks, it blew my mind. You had At-Tusi, you had Ibn Rushd, you had Ibn Sina. These guys, they're all polymaths. This boggled my mind. I was struggling with one teeny tiny bit of physics, astrophysics, and I was like, my mind was exploding. But these guys, they were doing medicine, each one of them, by the way, and hundreds of them, and I'm just mentioning a few here, hundreds of them during this 500 years. And it was almost like it was a binary thing, like each and every one of them were in at least 5 or 6 fields. They were doing medicine, they were doing astronomy, they were getting mathematical breakthroughs, and they were philosophers, and they were writing poetry. And I'm like, what on earth is going on? And then you compare that with the backdrop of scientists in this day and age, it's very specific. It's not only one field, it's one specific field of one field. And while there's a natural evolution to certain things, it boggles the mind. And then I kept thinking, and I was like, let's keep thinking. And I kept on thinking about what Einstein said. And his first Nobel Prize actually was the photoelectric effect in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It came from a very weird set of situations. So he was poor at that time. He was working in a patent clerk's office. And he had the simmerings of the idea, right? But while he was working, it was so numbingly boring. And he later ascribed that being bored, the way that the neurons fire in the head, that helped in his discovery. And then I compared that against what I just told you about the polymaths. And I was thinking, if the patent clerk job versus something in quantum physics can lead to that kind of a discovery, that leads to the photoelectric effect, which leads to the Nobel Prize. Now I can compare that and contrast that with what these polymaths were doing. Because can you imagine the resonance that was going on between, as they were probing like certain microbial systems, versus then zooming out and then going and zoning in certain stellar phenomena. The resonance that were happening, which is why that led to those crazy discoveries. And so all of this I tell you is because, again, take all of that depth perception against what we are trying to do here, which is know the blueprint, integrated solutions with deep functionality. What the Muslims had done was not random. They always had a functional output to it. That, okay, Allah talks about that, cleanliness is half of faith. Okay, we got to be clean. So public, safety in terms of sewage control and all that, it's all linked with the way that water purification happens. Okay, you're looking at the stars because you need to know the pattern. You need to demark the months and the days accurately, because a lot of our religious landmarks are based on those timelines, right? So there is a functional output, and to get there, you're kind of cross-linking all these various dimensions, right? And I was thinking that, mashallah, for our R&D engineers, specifically for you guys, we have a deep functional output. This is something that we need to produce to save lives right away. To do that, you cannot stay within one particular zone. Like, for example, I'll use one example because he's sitting right here, mashallah, Brother Abdullah Masood, with all the other brothers here. He's doing, modular power generation, great, but he, in the same flux that he's doing electrical engineering concepts, he has to take up mechanical engineering concepts, and he's looking at energy engineering. Each one is a world of its own, but he is leveraging each one of them not only for a particular solution, but they're also resonating within. So I encourage you to be of the polymaths of before. Do not constrain. The way that things are, you're a computer science major, you're an electrical major, the way that things have been divided for us, there is very little ability to go somewhere else or move somewhere else. But this right here at Nushur, there is no other option but that. You have to think in an integrated format. So I wanted to kind of highlight that, give you the backdrop that this is phenomenal. It's happened. It keeps happening. Tap into it. I've talked to you about capturing failures. Each failure is a success. What is the critical piece is to show how you get from the failure to the success. That is the breakthrough. Out of all of these crazy breakthroughs in this world, that is the breakthrough, right? So please be able to capture, and I've talked to all our teams before, to make sure you capture as you go from failure to success, that modality, because that is not only crucial for you and your backdrop as you move forward, but also other teams as they come into the picture. Small success steps, and all of you who do fundamental research, you know this, that if you start tops down, it doesn't work. You go bottoms up, tiny bits of success, builds up into a tsunami. You are the forerunners. No one's been doing this. Like I said, the backdrop of quote-unquote tech, colloquial tech. There's no one looking at stuff that we are. In the context of a digital economy, this becomes extremely crucial to do, right? Which is hard power. So you are the forerunners. As Allah says, the sabikun sabikun. So please don't even think about that, okay, Allah has placed us in a position to do good. No. You push yourself. You are in a position to accelerate. Forget velocity. You have to accelerate, which is rapidly increasing velocity. Our roadmap, just to kind of put it out there, inshallah, for each one of you, we do not only want to retain you, we want to bring you back as instructors. Inshallah, as the institute grows and develops, everything that you're learning now, which is why I'm very emphatic in telling you over and over again, capture every single thing. Be it a failure, be it a success, into a Word document with certain details, with certain context, with the details of the breakthrough. Okay? Believe in the uniqueness you bring to the table, just the harsh reality of R&D. And I've been in fundamental research and R&D my whole life. A personal story, towards the end of my grad school, there was a moment where I had, and this is when I was building devices at the nanoscale. This is when I had, master's in astrophysics, PhD in nanophysics, crazy story. But towards the end, I was building these devices, and I'd done the models, had done the calculations, everything pointed to a certain direction. When I actually should go make them, it just wasn't working. I worked like night and day, 2 weeks. I remember this was like when I was 27, 28 years old. No problem, could work 16, 17 hours a day. Nothing was working, and I went into a complete pit of depression. I didn't go to the lab for 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, I just slept. My wife at the time, she was like, all right, you're doing whatever you're doing, but you got to come out of this at some point. Alhamdulillah, I did. Obviously, things went well, figured it out, got success, all that kind of stuff. But the point, though, is that, and this is specifically for our R&D team, and you're well aware of this, but I just wanted to kind of say that as you're going through the moments, and there are so many in terms of just thinking about it, putting into conception, actually doing the work, there's so many moments where things will not work out. But mashallah, by Allah's grace, the imperative is there. Always, inshallah, connect with us, the ones who are trying to guide you. There's a lot of resources. We're happy to sit with you. Please don't let any of this get to you, all right? Jazakallah khair to Taha Diani. For those of you know, we had a soccer tournament last weekend. Our team, although we fought very hard, but from the onset we knew that we were going to get smashed, clobbered. So yeah, the first game we lost 11-1. The second game we lost 9-2. The other two teams were phenomenal. Just from the onset, we knew that we were going to get clobbered, right? So I'm going in, and Taha Diani, he's in our community, mashallah. He's always at the front of the road, the masjid. He was one of our players, so I'm like, oh man, I want to play, I want to fight, but I think we're going to get clobbered. And he said something, believe in the uniqueness you bring to the table. And although we all know it, but in those moments when you're going into something, and that was absolutely right. That irrespective of what the reality is or could be, you go in with what you have that no one else knows about. And that's the best you can do. We do not know the future, but we are putting our best foot forward, and we have been given the glad tidings, what the Salah video showed, which is, and also it's save one life and you save all of humanity. We have nothing but motivation, positivity, drive in our possession. And then to do our work, you have to isolate the signal from the noise and take help from experts. And Bismillah, in the name of Allah, inshallah. With the last slide in, bring it all in. So, highlights, it's a lot of stuff, but again, depth perception. We are in the age of CS, which is civilizational singularity. These moments, only moments. It's only weeks and months and not even years, and then they will pass, right? We find ourselves in it. Nothing is random. You're here for a reason. Recognize the enormity of the moment. It's a unique time in civilizational singularity. Immerse yourselves in the moment. Push yourselves. Be the forerunners. Be the trendsetters. This second to last point, maybe it's because now I'm in my 40s, this hits me more, which is that a mu'min or a believer lives between fear and hope. And as the scholars say, the fear is more for the earlier parts of your life, when you should stay within the guidelines of Allah and push yourself and stay away from evil. But then towards the end of your life, when you're getting softer and weaker, you should pivot more to hope. So I always think, and nowadays it's starting to think from that context, that as our lives wind down, towards the end, let your efforts be, and then that is the motivation piece for you now. That inshallah in those times that you can always look back and say that, Ya Allah, I tried my best. Not only that, but also when you stand in front of Him. So may Allah forgive us, enable us, accept us, inshallah. With that, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for listening, and may Allah forgive us. And we're all here to answer questions, comments. I know we're all